On day 2 of the bag, after you get your side and bottom seams sewn, you will want to trim the seam allowance to reduce the bulk, paying special attention to the corners. When you trim the seam allowance, you can use pinking shears, or you could serge, or you could just cut off the excess with a pair of sewing scissors or fabric scissors. You want to be careful not to cut the actual seam that has been sewn. You just want to cut next to it, and enough to reduce the bulk. This piece here is the outer main lining. You'll notice that I've sewn on 3 edges, leaving the top open and sewing all the way across the bottom. On the lining pieces, I have sewn, leaving an opening at the top of the bag. And also an opening, a small opening at the bottom of the bag that will later be sewn. On the lining piece, when you trim the seam allowance, make sure on the lining that you do not trim where there is this opening. You may want to put your pins back in to remind you not to cut along that seam allowance. That will give us enough bulk so that when we go back to sew it shut, we will have enough fabric to work with. So as you work, you will just want to make sure that your scissors are halfway between the raw edge of the fabric and the seam itself, and be very careful not to cut the seam that you have sewn. When you get to the corner, simply cut at a diagonal. This will help your corners stay nice and sharp and reduce additional bulk that would make your bag look awkward. Once you have trimmed along each of the side seams and the bottom seam, then you are ready for the next step, which will be straps.